Oh, how's it going? Welcome to our first episode of VAR and Espresso. I'm Sean Miller. We have 𝐊𝐢𝐤𝐤. Is that correct?
Hi, hi,
I,
Sean. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? We're
Yeah,
we're
fine, fine too. Thanks.
yeah we're on. Leo's still trying to dodge the celebrations over in Paris after the PSG.
No, it's now over. We need to focus on the Club World Cup now.
Yeah, and PSG will play tomorrow. We'll get into that tonight.
Yeah,
It's amazing when the season is going. This thing seems like it's really far away, and even 1 month ago, there's so much stuff to play for, and this Club World Cup seems like it's so far out. And tonight at 8 p.m. my time, which will be stupid o'clock, I think 2 a.m. your time.
yeah, two or three. I don't remember that.
Inter will play
Al
against
Hali.
Ali in
Yeah,
front of about 12 people. We'll talk about that a little bit. PSG plays tomorrow, probably the best game of the first set of matches. PSG against Atletico Madrid,
yeah,
uh, and then there's a bunch of other games that are going to be interesting. Bayern against Auckland City. We have Pedro. Pimentel is going to be joining us at some point in these shows as we do this. This is the first show, obviously, so he'll be joining. We'll be doing a daily morning show, so join us for that during the week, and I'll be doing a nightly show, recapping it and going through it. But Pedro is a little bit of a betting person, so I think Bayern is minus 5,000, so it's a little bit crazy. But we'll talk about this, basically give an overview. But if you're at the bottom, just quickly here, our socials are up. YouTube, follow us on YouTube, give us a like, follow us on Instagram, follow us on X, follow us on Kick, follow us wherever you're watching this video. And of course, go read all our stuff on Sports Talk United. There's a huge section on the Club World Cup here, previews, every group, overview. We're going to have all kinds of stuff from the tournament and news stories, transfer news, everything. So please go give us a like on here and follow as we build this out over the next month, year, everything leading up, obviously, to the Club World Cup. The World Cup next year, the Premier League, Ligue 1, Bundesliga. We'll be talking about everything. So, Leo, what do you think? What do you have here for as an opener for this tournament? Are you excited for this to see how this plays out?
I'm not very excited because of mainly the time schedule of the games, which it is difficult for us in France to watch at 2, 3 a.m. Moreover, I think this is not quite a major tournament, even if FIFA wants to make it big. We saw that with the special Mercato windows that happens from 1st to 10th of June. Another one is going to be mid-tournament. So I think FIFA wants to promote its competition the best way. But is it the best way to put a lot of new matches, games that a few people will watch? I don't really know.
It used to be look. This used to be the Confederations Cup, and it used to be, basically the reason they do this a year out from the World Cup is they want to do a dry run for the World Cup. They want to get the stadiums that they're going to be using next year, and they want to do, it used to be, Confederations Cup, the winner of every continent, the nation instead of the club teams, and they would play the year before the World Cup, and it was a pretty cool tournament. It wasn't necessarily like everyone's focus. But now, they have the Nations League and some of this other things. So they replaced this with this, FIFA Club
Yeah.
World.
And I don't know if you remember for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, the previous year there was the Asian Cup organized to just see if the stadiums were okay, how the supporters could go, all the infrastructures around. It was a kind of test, but I have no doubt that United States knows how to organize a major event.
This is, to be honest, look, the stadiums where they're having these games, for me, half the games that are going to be in, because everything's on the East Coast for this, except for the game tomorrow. The PSG match is going to be in the Rose Bowl for some reason, but and then they're doing the Gold Cup, which is basically the kind of like the Nations League for North America out on the West. So basically at the same time, it starts a little bit later, but look, the MetLife, the where Mercedes-Benz, these places all host, NFL games and major, when Brazil comes and Argentina, they play at MetLife. You're used to hosting this stuff, so I think it's not going to be that big of a deal, like you said. And I mean, just quickly before we get into the actual tournament, I know there's a lot of noise around the tickets. They had the ticket prices is pretty high, and people weren't buying them because tomorrow, why am I going to pay crazy money or this week to see Ulsan play Mamelodi Sundowns? But everyone wants to see Real Madrid. Everyone wants to see.
Everyone wants to see European teams in general,
except for Manchester City. No one likes to.
Yeah. And they have a big game against Juventus.
Yes. Yeah. So look, I think these early games are going to be, probably not that good, but as the tournament gets down, as per. When the tournament gets down to the quarterfinals and you have the big teams playing, hopefully they take it seriously. It's really tough. I mean, these teams, they just came, like PSG just played 1 million games. They won the Champions League. They have the Super Cup in August in 2 months. So if they get to the final, they're going to have about 10 days off before they have to get back in the season. So I'd like to see how some of these teams play it. I think, early on they're going to play some of their backups and whatever. But, as we go on, there's a lot of money at stake. So I think people are going to want to, as they go, want to try to do well because, with PSR, especially in England now, the English, Chelsea's going to want to, do well because they're struggling with PSR in Europe.
And I think it's no coincidence that Real Madrid bought Trent Alexander-Arnold for 10 million euros. They want to win this competition because they want to add prestige to their already big palmarès. And I think it's more important for the clubs than for the spectators or fans.
There's going to be a lot of people watching on TV.
Yeah.
Maybe there's not going to be people watching, and so it's tough. Real Madrid's playing at 9 p.m. the one day over here in Philly, which is once again 6 hours different, 3 a.m. in Madrid. But I think as the tournament goes, PSG, after the year they've had, if they go on and win this, and then win the Super Cup, and then, look, I mean, they've had an unbelievable year. Real Madrid wants to get back with a new manager and kind of, we'll talk about all this. I mean, who, What are your main storylines coming in about the teams right now? Instead of like the tournament, I know we did, and once again, go to Sports Talk United under the Club World Cup subheading, and you can see previews of every group written by Leo, Mohammed, 𝐊𝐤𝐤, and Daniel Hamas, and you can see all these stories. What's your main storylines coming in about the teams?
I want the thing with this tournament is that I want to see teams that I'm not used to watch whole year, because I love watching PSG. I love watching Bayern München. I love watching Manchester City, but it's more complicated for us to watch, for example, Palmeiras, Boca Juniors, which are big clubs in world football. So I want to see what they have to propose, and what are the players we are talking about. Because, for example, in Palmeiras, we know that there are a lot of good players, but like 𝐊𝐤𝐤, who will join Chelsea at his 18th birthday. But the thing is that we are more used to see his highlights on social than his real games. So I think it's a good occasion for that.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, when you look at some of the groups, obviously, and some of the matches, it's cool. As an Auckland City team, fan, I'm sure you don't get to play Bayern much. Palmeiras and Porto. And where I'm from in New Jersey, I don't live in New Jersey now. I live outside of New Jersey, right across the bridge. But there's a huge Portuguese population in North Jersey, Newark specifically, right where the Red Bulls play, right around Red Bulls Stadium, the MLS team. Huge. It's called the Ironbound. And, if you go to a Red Bull game, you go up there and you before the match, and you go and you eat Portuguese food, and you walk over to the stadium across the bridge, and it's a whole thing. So, when Porto is going to be playing there, there's going to be huge support for them. And you'll notice it if Brazil and if Portugal come to America to play a lot, they put them in MetLife because of that population. They sell really well. So, teams like that'll be pretty good. I'm interested to see what the teams, LAFC against Chelsea and Seattle against Botafogo. Some of the teams over here, like the MLS teams and the South American teams, they're in the middle of their season. So
yeah.
The European teams, their season is over, but they're better. And they once again, I think they're going to take it seriously because of all the PSR and stuff. But maybe their players aren't as invested in it as some of these other teams and some of these South American teams, which are, class teams. So, I was on X the other day, and I was talking to someone about it, and they were saying, they expect maybe a South American teams to do pretty well in this tournament, and maybe someone to win it because of the fact that they're in the middle of their season. I don't know if I'm going to go that far, but because of how good Real Madrid, PSG, Bayern, Chelsea, Manchester City are, I'd be stunned if the final 8 isn't, teams like that. But Dortmund, who's strong, but could a Boca Juniors sneak in there? Could a Flamengo? Could a River Plate? That'll be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to seeing some of those teams as well to play. It's easier for me because I think I've talked about this a couple times on the show. If you're in America now, basically, if you can't find a soccer, I call it football, but I'm in America, so I will say soccer. If you can't find a soccer match on Saturday night, it's almost like you haven't turned TV on. The Uruguay. I can watch the Uruguayan league. I can watch anything from South America, MLS.
Yeah.
Any league is streamed at this point. Like, we can watch it. So more so than anywhere, we always bust the blows of the people from England because the 3 p.m. kickoffs in the Premier League are blacked out, and I'm sitting here watching. I have 3 TVs set up, and I'm watching all 3 games. So
it's easier for you to watch European football than for Europeans to watch US football.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think we can also talk about how players from clubs like Mamelodi Sundowns or Monterrey or Wydad Casablanca will feel about playing against Inter Milan, Real Madrid, some big names in world football that they don't usually play in the national league. So it's also a good opportunity for them to burst on the world's face. And it's a great opportunity to play against the best player on the planet too.
Yeah, and look, we're gonna have a daily. Once again, we're gonna have daily shows here. Leo's gonna be on every morning or a lot of the mornings. Daniel will be on. I'll be joining as well. For VAR and Espresso, and at night we'll be having Margot Football Daily. We'll be talking about some transfers as well. And to that point, some of these players, I think we'll see this as a huge opportunity to put themselves in the shop window. Look, players will get scouted and teams find these players, whatever. But if you're on the pitch, I mean, there's the classic story. This is a long time ago, but Manchester United played Sporting in a preseason friendly, and Ronaldo tore apart the team. And they went to Alex Ferguson and said, "Look, you got to sign this guy. He's a monster." So even with the extensive scouting networks, look, I mean, if you're playing against someone and you see up close, wow, this guy just tore us apart. There's a chance for these players to get sold and put themselves in the shop window, which is big for these teams. I mean, you see, there's a story on SportsTalkUnited about how the Olympiacos, Marinakis is a huge record-breaking transfer from Olympiacos Academy to Brighton, 40 million euros. And there's, it's good for these teams. I mean, these teams can pay for, they're getting a lot of money for this, but they can end up paying for, the club to survive for the next couple of years because of this. So, and then, speaking of these players, do you have some players that you're going to be looking at, specifically for this tournament?
The first player I want to watch is obviously Ryan Cherki, who's just signed for Manchester City, because as a Lyon fan, I know what he's capable of. And if I'm being honest, I think when he has the ball on his feet, he's one of the top 5 players, not about consistency and everything, just about the pleasure to see a football or soccer player plays his sport is tremendous. You will see him if you don't have the chance to see him previously, and you will be like, oh, he's looking like me when I played in the streets when I was young. He's just a player for pleasure, someone who wants to play football, and I think his association with Pep Guardiola is going to be interesting because it will bring him a more tactical aspect, and he will have some physical obligations that he will need to succeed at Manchester City, and he's, I think, one of the best players. He will be in the next years one of the best players in the world. I'm sure of that. The other one I want to talk and I want to watch because I watched him all season long last season is André Santos from Chelsea. He had a breakout year with Strasbourg. He was on loan. He captained the team and bring us to the 7th place in Liga. They will play Europe next season. And I think it's a pretty good footballer. And I just want to see if he can adapt his level to the highest level of football. So it's one of my ones to watch. And you, what about you, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm a big, Premier League guy. I think for me, it was really interesting. Like I'm obviously Manchester United fan. We were terrible last year, and then we lost in the final. So it's whatever. But as a Premier League fan, I thought the race for the top 5 as it is now because of the extra spot was very intriguing all year. And one of the teams that I thought they snuck into the top 5 as it was Chelsea. And looked at they're in this because they won the 2021 Champions League. So I think they struggled at times with Nicholas Jackson up top. And now they have Liam Delap. Now, Is this guy going to be transformational 9 that takes them? Is he going to score 20 goals and have this team, closer to the top? I kind of missed on Liverpool last year. I thought they were going to struggle a little bit, and they didn't. But I think the rest of the league struggled. Like obviously, Man City's bad. The rest of the league is bad. I think Chelsea's going to be a lot closer to the top. I think Chelsea's a dangerous team in this tournament. Obviously they have a ton of talent. They have a huge roster, squad. They have a huge, a lot of players, and that can rotate. And I think that's important in this tournament. Obviously after a long season, and just to see what he's going to do. Are they going to throw him in right away? Are they going to kind of let him bed in a little bit? I think that's going to be really, really intriguing to watch. The second one would be, I'm looking at Real Madrid because I think they're obviously Real Madrid is going to take this tournament seriously after they said maybe they weren't going to go. I think now after the season they just had, didn't win anything. Now I think you have to take this tournament seriously and really, Real Madrid probably has to go and win this. Xabi Alonso, if he could go out and win this right away and win a trophy, and then go into next season on a high, I think that would be pretty interesting. So Trent Alexander-Arnold and Dean Houston, who just played for Spain. This kid just came out of nowhere and just became a huge name with Bournemouth, and now he's going to probably slide right into the Real Madrid back line. To see both of these two in a defense that struggled at times last year because they had so many injuries. When you have Fede Valverde playing right back and playing right, all these guys trying to play different positions, and you're trying to just get through the season with that. I think it was tough for them. So to have actually 2 defenders in there that could be tough and could help them. Obviously, Trent is going to be more of an attacking player for them. And then, I mean, really, other than that, you look at some of the teams over here. I'm just, this is more kind of a squad thing than a player. I'm interested to see how the North American teams do in this tournament. The couple, there's 3
We can notably talk about Obed Vargas from the Sounders,
Yes.
which is all-rounded midfielder. Um, Graduate from the academy. He has a good reputation, and I want to see more of him. There is also Benjamin Kremaski. I'm sorry for him, from Inter Miami. I've heard a lot of things about him, so I want to see what he has to give also. And if we want to talk about some legends or big past name, we can watch at Edinson Cavani from Boca Junior, Thiago Silva from Fluminense. We have also Youssef Belaïli from Espérance Sportive de Tunis. For those who knows about his roller coaster career, who I can think about, Denis Bouanga from LAFC, who scored, I think, 20 goals in the past 2 MLS seasons. So there are a lot of things we can watch concerning players, and it will be super interesting to see them all.
Yeah, I think yeah, and with the obviously it's in America. You have Inter, who got in, because Messi is on the team because they really haven't won anything. You have Seattle, who got in because they actually won it. The CONCACAF Champions League, the first team from the MLS to ever do that. And they're in for that. And LAFC just got the last spot because they won the whatever that.
Against Club America to replace Club Leon.
The Champions Cup or whatever it's called. Yeah. Which is I think for fans of those teams, be interesting to see how they'll do against this. I mean, tonight we have a game. There's an actual game to watch. Once again, it's going to be probably too late for you. 𝐊𝐤𝐤 against Inter Miami. Inter playing at home. Probably. I think everyone just thinks Inter Miami is going to roll to the airs. What's up, Chad? How's it going? Chad Bridges, coach of the #1 team in the country, Pennington.
Hi, Chad.
And look who we have. We have Pedro. How's it? Hey, Pedro joining us from the beach. How's it going, Pedro?
Yeah, I just want to say hi to the team, making really a good job. I'm in the south of the country, in Algarve, in Portugal. I brought my son. It's weekend. That's I'm enjoying with him. Maybe one day we can make a show live directly here from Portugal. I have a place enough big to bring you here, guys.
We definitely will do that. I will definitely be coming to the beach over there in the Algarve.
Yeah. But you missed the UEFA Champions League games with Benfica. You didn't show up against Barcelona.
That was. The tickets were sold out. Plus that guy kind of backed out. We won't talk about that, but I haven't been there it's been a while since I've been in Portugal, so I definitely have to get there more this fall because I'll be traveling more. So we will definitely be over there watching some Benfica. Well, I want to see a Sporting match. Sporting's the real team over there, Pedro.
Yeah, definitely. The Sporting have really wild crowds. They love the club. They are rooting all the time. Yeah, they are really big fans, and you know that Sporting past 20 years without win the championship. Before Coach Amorim era, Sporting was like 20 years without winning the title. So for the Sporting fans, now they win the title two in a row, something that happens like in 50 years. It's really special. Yeah.
Hey, Pedro, how do you think, we're talking about the Club World Cup here. How do you think the two Portuguese teams, Benfica and Porto, will get on here? Do you think they have a chance to go deep in the tournament?
Um, yeah, it's a difficult question. I was checking the groups, and Porto will play with the Palmeiras. It's a very good team.
Yeah,
Very organized, and Porto is needs to make changes in the roster, in the structure, because the president of the club, the guy who was president of the club for more than 40 years, that passed away, and the new structure will need to make these things happen. I don't know if Porto had a chance for Benfica. For Benfica, it depends. If Benfica wins the first game against Boca Juniors, I think they have really a chance to pass these rounds. Let's see. It's a new tournament. Uh, let's see how the things will happen. I have good sensations about Benfica, more than Porto, to be honest.
Is the guy in the background still celebrating the Nations League title? Is that
Yeah,
what's?
yeah, 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 yeah. It's the guy who is selling stuff. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I thought maybe he was celebrating the Nations League championship for Portugal.
Not really. People here wants to enjoy the beach. Believe me.
and they're right.
Yeah,
And you,
uh,
you
you,
were
you,
talking about Porto, and by the way, I think Palmeiras are the big favorite in this Group A instead of Porto, because they will also face Al Ahly and Inter Miami. Um Inter Miami, our season is made of ups and downs, while um, Porto's last season was not the best in their history, to say the least. Palmeiras has are stuck with talented players, and I don't really know about Halali, but it's one of the biggest clubs in Africa. They've just won their 45th championship, and they've won numbers of CAF Champions League too. So it will be. It's not maybe the most shining group of the competition, but it will be one of the most disputed, I think. What do you think of that, Pedro?
Um, when Let me tell you one thing. I'm a guy focused on NBA. That's people knows me by my NBA plays. Okay. I study line functionalities, covers, trends, the rosters, everything, and of course I follow the European soccer, uh, especially in my country, Portugal, the first league and the second league. Uh, and for a new tournament with a model that you don't know, but surprises will show up,
Yeah,
as you
I think
said.
too.
Yeah, there's good teams from other continents that for them it's more prestigious, and they will play uh, how to say to you, they will play with more motivation than the European teams. This is my opinion, because it's what I was saying to you. Let me see the first round, okay,
Yeah.
to see how things figure out. But of course, I agree with your analysis, of course.
Yeah,
And
we were talking about this earlier. I think it's going to be. I'd be very interested to see if the European teams need it for PSR and stuff like this, but and they're just a lot of them are just better, but how seriously they take it. I think Real Madrid will take it seriously. Teams that had bad years, City. These teams will take it seriously because they've had a bad year and need to do that. But some of these other teams, you just don't know. But I agree, Pedro and Leo.
But we have to say that, for example, for the Spanish teams, if they go to the final, which is on July 14th, I think, they will start the La Liga Championship just 1 month later. So I think it will be a big question of how can we compete in the Club World Cup, then go to La Liga, then Champions League in September, and it's a endless story. So it's there are a lot of big stakes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, do you who do you think is of your teams? Who do you think is like who would be your pick to win it right now? If you had to give me one team, if you think this team is going to win it, who would be your play?
I would go with, and it's kind of a surprise because we didn't talk about them yet, but with Bayern Munich. I think they have quality. They are not outsiders, but not in the top 2-3 teams we talk about for the title. I think they have a group stage which is okay for them because they will play Auckland City from New Zealand, which is not a professional team, but even if it's a big Oceanian team, they will play Boca Juniors and Benfica. So when they get in the second phase of the tournament, I think they will be kind of not fresh, but not totally dead from their first 3 games.
What do you think, Pedro?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. For the Portuguese clubs, my feeling is that Benfica will play with motivation and have chances to go through. I'm not so optimistic against Porto because Porto is playing against Palmeiras, who is a very organized. It's a strong team in Brazil, and also Inter Miami with Messi. I don't know. Let's see. But I agree with your opinion that the clubs who hadn't a great season, of course, have a double motivation to play the games. But tell me one thing, Sean. If we consider the odds and the bets, do you think the odds are right? Do you see potential to bet the games, or you prefer to wait to the next round to see how the things go on?
Yeah, I talked about that a little bit. I just think this first round is going to be I mean, you look at some of the matches. I mean, it's once again, but Bayern is minus 5,000. There's some interesting matches. Like once again, tomorrow PSG plays Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how PSG plays right now because I'm sure they're celebrating once again. This could be a monster year for them. It already is. Do they take it? Do they win this, or do they? Are they just gassed from the whole season? Especially the way they won the final. I mean, really should have been 8-0. So Real Madrid against Al-Hilal. I think you look at the second set of matches, the same thing. For me, if I'm looking at these seriously, I think you probably it's a little bit like the World Cup or the Euros, where the first set of group stage games, there's going to be a lot of matches that are 3-0, 4-0. Some teams maybe are playing bad teams or not. I don't want to say bad, but just lesser teams, and they just do enough. 1-0, 2-0 is enough. They score a late goal, whatever, to make it 2-0. They know their other team's not going to score against them, so they don't have to put the energy in. But I think once it gets to a certain point, I don't even think it's probably going to be the quarterfinals. I mean, you even see this in the Champions League a lot of times. PSG playing Brest in that playoff, 10-0. Once it gets to a point where there's, tougher teams in, I think it's going to be a little bit easier to I don't want to say easier. There's going to be better, for someone like you, Pedro, there's going to be better value, obviously. And these games are going to be tougher. And, I think teams will start to take it a little more seriously the further they go. It's like for you, the NBA, when they do that cup now, the NBA Cup, some teams take it seriously. Some teams just say, we're trying to play for the thing. And then once you get into it deeper, then you try to go for it. Or you see that in the Carabao Cup in England or the FA Cup, teams will rotate. But hey, listen, once we get to the, we're here and there's 16 teams left. There's 8 teams left. We're here. We're this close. We might as well go for it. Now, Crystal Palace did that. And then they ended up winning. So I think you'll see that. I mean, for me, I think the favorites, I would say PSG, but I just think after what they did, I think there's going to be a little drop off. I think there has to be. You can't play that well in the final and then just have not. I just think there's going to be a little low. For me, I just think it's going to be a team like either Real Madrid or Manchester City, who had a bad year, bad season, didn't win a trophy, and they're going to Real Madrid as a new manager, they're going to put a lot of investment into it. They're signing players for this tournament. Manchester City signing players for this tournament. Obviously Bayern is going to be there too. But I would say it would be one of those two. If I had to flip a coin, I'd probably say Real Madrid, but I wouldn't be stunned to see any of those teams win. I think there's going to be some teams from South America that go deep into the tournament. I just think that overall, like, if Real Madrid is in a quarter or semifinal against some of these teams, I mean, you kind of, when you watch the Club World Cup, you're going to kind of see that those teams eventually kind of go. Chad's asking some of the teams with new signings that will play in this tournament with something to prove or get fans excited to see. I think, obviously we talked Chelsea with 𝐊𝐢𝐤𝐤, Real Madrid with Trent and Dean Huijsen. PSG hasn't signed anyone for this, right, Leo?
No, not yet.
I don't.
But for example, Gabriel Moscardo, who was a loanee to Reims last season, will play with PSG during the tournament. But we can also talk about managers, because Simone Inzaghi just joined 𝐊𝐤𝐤𝐜𝐤, so he will meet with Real Madrid, for example. It's the occasion also to see Mastantuono from River Plate, who was just engaged with Real Madrid too. There are a lot of questions and a lot of interesting things we will see at the Club World Cup. And Job Bellingham from Sunderland to Dortmund too.
Yeah, Chad's talking, Chelsea. It's, we talked a little bit about Liam Delap going into Chelsea. They finally have someone maybe who can put the ball in the net. I know they struggled at times. Nicholas Jackson's probably not a person that'll lead the line. But listen, if you buy 800 players over the course of 2 years and spend money and buy all these players, at some point you're probably going to get it correct. That's why. I think Chelsea and Manchester City are always dangerous because at some point they're going to get these signings correct and it's going to click.
Yeah.
So,
and the thing we can also say about the calendar and the specificity of the competition is that there are only 2 teams from each group who will go to the next round. Sometimes it's the 4th, 3rd qualified 2, but in this competition, just only the 2 best teams in the groups are gonna be in the next round.
Yes, and closer to what the other tournaments are. It's obviously the Champions League went to that. They killed them for going to that 36 team tournament and ended up being probably one of the better things they did because as the tournament kind of went on, it ended up working. So everyone forgets PSG was 2 matches to go, had to beat Manchester City to get in. They were in 25th and they were looking in, and then once they did, they just started to blast.
They went 2-0 down to Manchester City at Parc des Princes.
Yep, so and they came back and scored 4, right?
Yeah, they came from nowhere.
That was basically that changed the whole thing. And thank God they knocked out the people from. Thank God they knocked out that team from England, or all 3 teams. They basically made it so my summer was at least half bearable by knocking out Liverpool, Arsenal, and Aston Villa.
Yeah, and Ousmane Dembélé gave an interview to L'Équipe today, and he explained that when they beat Liverpool, they know that could go to win the Champions League. So I think it was really beating Liverpool was the key point in the Champions League path to the final.
Yes, I mean the way it ended up breaking down, you'll see that. I think in this tournament maybe you're going to see something like that. You always get these, you don't always get the 2 best teams in the finals of these tournaments because of the way it breaks down. Sometimes you have better teams on this side of the bracket, and you see that with the World Cup. You used to see that with the Champions League. Back in 2018, Liverpool had they basically walked to the. 2019, whatever it was, you get these paths where you just kind of walk to the final or whatever, and then the other team has to beat all really good squads on the way. Obviously, I think you could argue probably Inter wasn't the second best team in the tournament, but they beat who they beat to get there. So I think you're going to get something like that too. With the way these groups are set up and the bracket is set up. But we'll see over how the tournament goes. So
yeah.
Any final words from the beach there, Pedro, before we get out of here and go watch some games today?
Yeah. Just to say to you guys that you make a very talented team with really good stuff to be brought to the show. I just want to say it's a pleasure to be with you guys. I'm going to make the homework. I finish my holidays tomorrow. I return to Lisbon, so I can binge shows in the office with um, with my appointments, and that's it. And that's it. Let's make a great team with great stuff. And I say goodbye from the beach, and see you
Pedro,
soon, guys.
Pedro, who's winning the NBA
Thanks.
Finals? Pedro,
I'm sorry.
who's going to win the NBA Finals?
The OK, in my opinion, the OKC Thunder, but
6 games,
game
7 games.
no, game 6 will be epic. The game 6 will be the game of the century. Believe me.
Okay.
Game 6 in Indiana. It's a must see spot.
All right.
Okay.
All
because
right.
because the Pacers are giving really a great fight, and in last night they only lose the game in the final couple of minutes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
they were leading by halftime by 3 or 4 points.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
All right. I'll see you later, Pedro.
Yeah, of
See
course.
you. See you, Pedro.
Okay, it was a
And
pleasure, Leo.
yeah, thanks.
All right. There's Pedro from the beach. What a life he's got. Hey, have you ever been to the Algarve?
I don't think I went to Lisbon a few years ago.
I've been to
It's
Lisbon.
a great city, but I don't. If, no, I don't remember.
Any final words on this? And we just once again, look, follow us on all the socials, YouTube, Instagram. They're all at the bottom scrolling across. And just we're gonna be on. There's gonna be a group of us. All it's gonna be a team effort. Sports Talk United team effort. It's gonna be morning shows. So if you're in Europe, you're gonna have content. Midday, something like that on your lunch break. It's going to be early in the morning here in America, and then at night we'll be doing some recaps and stuff like that when people in Europe are asleep. So any kind of recap here for then what anything else to watch for?
No, I don't think. We can just say that we will meet tomorrow to talk about 𝐊𝐤𝐤𝐿 versus Inter Miami games, and to talk about the next games, which will be Palmeiras against Porto, PSG against Atlético de Madrid, and Botafogo versus Seattle Sounders.
Yeah, I think tonight is the kickoff one match. I think, but
Yeah.
once tomorrow, there's some interesting games tomorrow, and there's some interesting games coming up. I'm gonna try to get to some in Philadelphia. We'll see. There's just weird times here. Noon and 9 p.m. is not optimal to try to get to games if you're trying to drag kids to it. So
yeah.
All right, so we will see everyone tomorrow, same time, Leo.
I think yeah.
Okay, and then just make sure you have your notifications on, so during the week you can kind of see when these will be on, and we will be coming back at you. All right,
yeah.
We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay.